Okay, let's pick up where we left off. We talked about what the heck a logarithm is. We did some practice evaluating logarithms, playing around with them. We solved some exponential equations, ended up with expressions like these, but that's where we got stuck because how do you actually figure out what this is equal to? I know that 3 to the 5th power is 243, so 3.4 to the 5th power, I'm going to guess that somewhere around there, so somewhere around 5. Remember, this is the question. 3.4 to what power is 500? I think the answer is about 5. I don't even know what power you raise 1.32 to get 33.3. Something pretty big, I'm going to guess, but I have no idea what this is actually equal to. What is the power you have to put on 1.3 to get 33.3? So I'm going to use my calculator. Now, this calculator actually does have a log button. There it is, log. But if I press that button, helps if you turn it on first. If I press that button, it just says log. It doesn't say log base something, and it doesn't give me a place to enter the base. Now, your calculator, depending on what type you have, may give you a place to enter the base, or it may not. And there's a reason why it doesn't, because there's a formula that allows us to evaluate any base you want, and the formula is so simple that it's not even worth putting a special button on your calculator for it. It's called the change of base formula. I'm not going to show you where it comes from because you can Google that if you're interested. I'm just going to show you how to use it. The change of base formula says if I have the log base A of B, where A and B are anything, any numbers I want them to be, then I can rewrite that as the log of B divided by the log of A, where those two logs are any base I want. I'm going to call it base C for those two. So I can do any log of B divided by any log of A, and I'll get my answer as long as that's the same log for both of those. Now, the two buttons your calculator has on it that are related to logs is it has one that just says log, and it has one below it that says ln. The one that just says log, that's called a common log, and that's log base 10. Just like how if you write a cube root, you need a little 3. But if you don't put the little 3, it's a square root. You don't need a 2 to make it a square root. The square root is the most commonly used one, so it's the one where we don't bother writing the number. By the same token, the most commonly used log, not really, is log base 10. So for that one, we don't bother with the 10. It's actually not the most commonly used one. The most commonly used one is ln, which is log base e, where e is that irrational number, 2.718281828, goes on forever, that you may remember from Algebra 2. It shows up a lot in interest rate problems, probability problems. We've seen it before in this class as well. This is called the natural log. Common log, natural log. These are the two buttons your calculator actually has on it. So if I want to evaluate something like this, log base 1.3 of 33.33, I'm going to pick one of these two. We'll actually go with natural log, because if you have a TI-89, it doesn't even have a common log button. All it has is the natural log. So we'll go with natural log for these examples. So if I want to do the log base 1.3 of 33.33, I'm going to do the ln of 33.33 divided by the ln of 1.3. Got to be very careful about the way I push these buttons on my calculator. ln 33.33. Next thing I better do is close those parentheses and then do the division bar. Apologies for the glare. There we go. Close parentheses division, then ln of 1.3. Close parentheses on that as well. And I get 13.3648, right about 13.5. Let me check that. That means that 1.3 to the power 13.5 should be right around 33.33. And I get, well, it's actually pretty far off. It's actually 46.7, or about closer to 47. That's pretty far off, but you know what? Within our rounding error, oops, you know what? That's because I put the wrong, this is not 13.5, it's closer to 13.365. Because I rounded wrong, 1.33 to the power 13.365. This is where I make a mistake far enough into the video, I don't bother re-recording it, I just leave the mistake in it. All right, so that gets me to 45, which is not great. It's not super close, but you know what? For these purposes within rounding error, I can live with that. I can live with that as my answer. So that's going to be my answer for that one. Let's evaluate this one, log base 3.4 of 500. Remember, we estimated the answer would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5. Let's see how close that estimation was. So I'm going to do the ln of 500 divided by the ln of 3.4. On your calculator, both those numbers will need to be in parentheses. You'll need to make sure you close this parentheses before you do the other one. ln of 500, close parentheses, divided by ln of 3.4, close parentheses. And I got, well, our estimate was pretty spot on, 5.078. 5.078. Let me bring this a little closer. There we go. There it is. So that's my X for that one. So that is how you solve and evaluate on a calculator. That should be all the skills you need for the assignment. If any step of that was a little bit confusing, log on to my office hours and I'll do my best to explain it.